could see you keeping me wavy. You are made of dreams. I'm into it, just moving like a shot in the dark. My heart, it goes hazy. Too much symmetry. Fall into it. I wanna drift asleep, tangled in your sheets. I wanna hear you say my name forever. Tell me I'm ecstasy, everything you need. I wanna know you'll chase me to the clouds. I can see it in my head, it's better than the others. I know it could be the best, yeah, I could be your lover. You don't cross my mind cause you live in it. If you were all mine, it'd be a thing. Baby, let me love you, yeah, I wanna be your lover. Slow motion falling into your emotion. Don't stop, yeah, you know I'm into it. Just put your hands on my body. Yeah, you already got me. Oh, come take me home. Fall into it, yeah. I wanna drift asleep, tangled in your sheets. I wanna hear you say my name forever. Tell me I'm ecstasy, everything you need. I wanna know you'll chase me to the clouds. I can see it in my head, it's better than the others. I know it could be the best, yeah, I could be your lover. You don't cross my mind cause you live in it. If you were all mine, it'd be a thing. Baby, let me love you, yeah, I wanna be your lover. I wanna be wherever you are. I wanna see the same stars. No, I don't care if you break my heart. I wanna be wherever you are. Take me on a trip out of the real world. No, I don't care if it falls apart. No, I don't care if it's where you are. I just wanna be with you. I can see it in my head, it's better than the others. I know it could be the best, yeah, I could be your lover. You don't cross my mind cause you live in it. If you were all mine, it'd be a thing. Baby, let me love you, yeah, I wanna be your lover. Ooh, eyes I could see you keeping me wavy. You are made of dreams. I'm into it, just moving like a shot in the dark. My heart, it goes hazy. Too much symmetry. Fall into it. I wanna drift asleep.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
I wanna hear
Came on a little early. Roy's a little bit backed up doing city business right now, and should have wrapped up or is wrapping up momentarily, so he'll be here in a little bit. So just reading some more, trying to get a little more updated on that situation and with the Americans over the border here. I keep saying they were kidnapped, and I guess they were kidnapped, but that was after the fact. They weren't kidnapped and then shot. They were shot and then they were taken because that's what they do is they pick up the bodies and they take them with. So not necessarily a kidnapping, but just details. Trying to figure out what the story is, because now it seems the story is that they were mistaken for Haitian drug dealers. So right now we have a large Haitian population, which is filtering into Brownsville, but they're also sitting there in Mexico, right here over the border in that same city, Matamoros. And a resemblance of the Mariel boat lift from Cuba to Miami back in the 80s, early 80s. And a lot of criminal elements, came in on that during that boat lift as well. So I think they're all criminals, but that, you know, some of that element is coming, is it's showing its ugly head, in other words. Good evening, everyone. Hey, Robin. Robin was the first one in line today. Hope you're doing good, buddy. Hi, Cherie. Lavina. Hi there. Why did Siri just turn on? That's weird. You ever have Siri just turn on and just, yes? That's freaking weird. Hey, Lavina. Debbie Flores, how you been? Juju Bean, hey there. Hey, Charlene. Leave me alone. What's up? Yeah, very horrible. Just trying to figure out. I hope they weren't. I don't think they were doing anything shady. That's why it's. You know, is it going to deter others from coming to do the same thing? Oh, Chuck, I do want to hear. Do tell. Hey, Paul, what up? Safe travels, buddy. You back home? Nice to see you. We'll be here. Roy's not here yet. Roy, he'll probably be here by 9 o'clock, roughly, something like that. If not, the show will go on, but he'll be here. He said he would. Hey, Chris. Hi, Sylvia. Siri's always in my business, right? It's like the phone was off. Not off, but, you know, just dark. And then it just lit up, and the little Siri button was there, and I think she said yes. Oh, haunted. Right behind will not go to Mexico for a dang tummy tuck. I know that much. I know it makes it. Hey, Abel. I'm gonna say no. I'll bet not. I'll bet not. I will bet not. And if they did protest, they would do it on this side of the border, not on that side of the border, right? Let me try something here. Yeah, much better. Yeah, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, they're not going to protest there or anywhere. I guarantee you that much. Donna Brenner, how are you? Thanks for joining us tonight. Come on, you know she used that loan from her child tax credits. 8 or 9 kids there. Chris, come on, that's a delicate statement you're making there. Ooh, man, vicious. The truth is, when I worked here at the airport, and I've seen it, I've been told about it recently. There are people that are arriving. They fly out of here into Mexico, then they fly back. And when they come back, they are all bandaged up, can barely walk. They need wheelchairs. These are young people. So they go and have some kind of procedures done, either Mexico or further in South America. So yeah, it definitely does happen. They crossed into Mexico at 9, and the shooting was after 11. So something happened in 2 hours to piss off the shooters. Well, like I said earlier, the initial story was that they got caught in a crossfire. You know, gang over here, and they're going at it, and the traffic is just going by. So, and then the other story that started to come up was that they were mistaken identity. that they were mistaken for Haitian drug dealers. So I don't know if somebody just said that. I don't know. I don't know where that came from. I don't know where any of it came from. So the latest is the woman that was here with 3 of her friends. 2 of them are dead. They were killed in the shooting. The other gentleman was shot in both legs. He was shot Friday. And he just had surgery today here. They brought him back to the States. He is here at the Valley Regional in Brownsville. And it's not known, it doesn't sound like that the woman is injured at all. But then again, the hospital won't confirm anything. Obviously, they're not going to talk to the press. So, and they were driving their minivan with North Carolina license plates. So they drove here from North Carolina. They were not necessarily here for spring break, as it was once thought. Initial report said they were here to go to the pharmacy to pick up some medication or, medicine. And then that turned into so some combination of that is probably the truth. Hey, Robin. And I'm not victim shaming or victim blaming. I'm just saying I'd rather pay more and feel safe than pay less and have to keep my head on a swivel. Not worth the risk. I gotta agree with you. Is it worth the risk when you have to duck your head and be so paranoid about, coming and going from there? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is a big price difference, right? The cost is, it's drastic. So I can see where people want to make the trek and do that. Whether or not anybody needs it, that's got nothing to do with the situation. Whether somebody needs it or not. If it's somebody wants, they're going to want what they do, right? So in that aspect, yeah, I'm definitely not victim blaming at all. I got my own things I want to do in the future, but I'll try to make it a medical thing so the insurance covers it. I don't know how. Yo, Janine, what up? Glad you made it. Hi, Paige. Welcome to tonight's program. Roy is writing something. Roy should be here momentarily. And there's nothing official with Roy. Roy he is the current commissioner here in the city of Brownsville. He's not running. He's in the middle of his tenure. And speak of the devil. You ready, buddy? Hey, everyone. Welcome, Mr. Roy de los Santos. Can I hear you?
Hello, everybody.
There you go. He's there. How's business?
Arduous, as always, but I enjoy it.
Yes, Paige. We're talking about that now. We're just discussing what happened in Matamoros Friday.
Yes.
And everything do you know, have you heard anything different than what we're hearing on the news?
No. In fact, I had to Google it on CNN and some other news sites today just to see how much I could find out about it.
Yeah, it's 3 married men going with a female across country for a tummy tuck. My wife wouldn't like that. Yeah, but they're close friends, I'm sure. I don't know. Like I said, the story is she was going for a tummy tuck. They got caught in a crossfire.
Mm-hmm.
And as I think what the cartels do down here is they take bodies with them. They don't leave bodies behind.
Yeah.
Unless they're trying to send a message. Um, so I think that's why they kind of called it a kidnapping, but it really wasn't a kidnapping. And then the other story was that they were mistaken for Haitian drug dealers.
I've heard it was mistaken identity. I've heard that version.
Yeah, that was the first thing they came out with. And then the bodies have not been brought back. The living victims have been brought here. They're at the hospital at Valley Regional.
Oh, I had not heard that.
Yeah, they're here.
How many came back alive?
2.
Oh, wow. Okay.
2 of the 4. 2 of the men are dead. The gentleman who was here got shot in both legs. He got shot Friday and just had surgery today. So and he's critical. So hopefully he'll make it. And then the female that was with them all, she's there as well.
Bleed out.
Yeah, exactly. So just wondering how all that's going to go.
Hello, everyone.
So, like I said, today was nothing. Hey, Jessica, was nothing real official. We haven't talked in a long time. Haven't talked to you in, I want to say about a year, maybe.
Probably.
Give or take, right?
Yeah, you had moved on to more worldly topics for a while there, so we got away from city stuff.
Yeah, and then I started on the whole the VT Chronicles, if you know what that is. If you know, you know. And that kept me busy for a while.
Yep.
But Roy, every time we had Roy, I mean, sometimes he was on a couple times a week, maybe 3 times a week. We've had some long marathon sessions, 3.5 hours or whatever that was. I don't even remember.
Oh, yes. I'm very proud of that.
Yeah. And you just have, we have discussion. So tonight is nothing necessarily city official, nothing like that. He's not a candidate right now.
No, and that's why I didn't put commissioner on my name tonight. Not because I'm not willing to talk about city issues, but because I'm here as Roy de los Santos, which means I can say whatever I want as an American citizen.
There you go. Good job.
Yes.
2 of the victims are here. They are living, and one is not injured from what I hear, and the other one was treated for a gunshot to both legs. My husband crossed over to Mexico to buy medications. In fact, we had planned to go next week, and now we're going to seriously consider if we ever cross again. I wouldn't say never, but I think right now it's probably not a good time to go there right now. At least I wouldn't.
Well, not
what is your
anyway?
Yeah, what is your take on that? Because I had Erasmo last night, and he's like, "No, don't be afraid to go. Just go. It's safe." And it's like, "Yeah, I don't see. I'm not riding that train right there."
Exactly. I know some folks that I've talked to, they said if they go over, it will be Progreso, because Progreso has not had major incidents like this. And I can't say I agree.
I don't remember if I ever heard anything. I think there might have been an explosion, but that was like a fire or a gas pipe or something. But any kind of crime like that, I don't think I ever recall hearing anything like that in Progreso over there. Do you get to Matamoros much at all? You go over the border?
Not often. I had not been over for years. From 2009, because of the violence, I hadn't gone over in more than 10 years. It was finally either 2021 in the fall was my first trip over since 2009, and I've been over a handful of times since then.
Yeah. So would you go for traditional things, what most people go for, pick up medicine, prescriptions, or you just go to
I would usually go over because the LGBTQ community over there would have events that I'd get invited to. So I would go over for art shows and things like that. And then sometimes just for dinner.
Yeah. And
I've got good health coverage, so my prescriptions are pretty cheap over here already.
Yes. Oh, I get that. But it's a popular spot for those who don't have a prescription, can't go see a doctor, can't afford the medicine, so they want to just shoot on over. And if you do that, you just can't. You don't need to go deep into Mexico. There's
exactly the pharmacies 50, right there.
Yeah, as soon as you come down the bridge, there's 50 pharmacies in a 1 mile radius, probably.
Yep.
So if you need to do that, if you really have to, go early in the morning. 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, whatever. I don't know how early these things open.
And almost everybody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who lives over there, goes over there daily, and can bring back whatever you need.
Yeah.
I do that a lot too. I've seen that a lot.
What how's life been in the last year? I think it's been about a year since we've talked.
It probably has. Life has been good. Still with AT&T, still loving the work that I do there. Still active with the few boards that I remained on after I got elected. But my big focus is always now the city of Brownsville and Sombrero Festival outside of my AT&T work.
Sombrero Festival, that's right.
Oh yes, we just had an amazing year.
So your day job is with AT&T.
I'm a senior business manager with a focus on retail store experience nationwide.
Hey Chuck, I'll talk to you about this later, for sure. Hey, Mr. Nobody, don't you find it frustrating that American citizens need to go to Mexico to get cheaper medicine at lower costs?
Very.
I mean, that's been a fight forever.
Yep.
And in spite of the government taking on big pharma, it seems like little steps are being won. Like some insulin for, I think for senior citizens, insulin has dropped.
Yeah.
But if they can do that, why can't they just drop the price of insulin for the general public as a whole?
For something that, you need it to live daily. It's ridiculous that they let anybody price gouge.
My mother-in-law won't let me or my daughter go to Matamoros. Yeah, right now it's just a good time to just chill and vacation here in the States somewhere for a little while. Mm-hmm. Do you see anything? Do you guys, and not to get into city business too much, but do you ever talk about what like crime, what's happening over there, how it affects Brownsville here, or what's being done to try to get everything to cool off?
There's not a lot that we can do to influence how hot things are over there or to get those to cool off. That's something that's going to be more at the national level, and really it's up to the Mexican government. It's all going to come down to how much they're willing to do and when, and how far they can go, those that want to do something about it. As far as how it affects Brownsville, we're pretty fortunate that the violence doesn't spill over. I'm sure it deters some tourism, so that's a minor effect that it has on us. But I don't think there's a major effect. I think right now we still see a lot of tourism coming from within the U.S. and other areas. So we're not hurting
Chuck says, Roy, what was the hoopla with Sombrero Fest and the other festival? There was a hoopla? Was there a hoopla?
What other festival? I didn't know there was another festival.
Chuck.
Way back in the day? I mean, that was like 10 years ago there was hoopla, but we won, they lost.
Yeah. And maybe, Chuck, you can be a little more specific on that. What does the commissioner do? I'm interested in knowing what it details.
That's a good question.
Good question.
The best explanation I think I've ever given is if you think about a corporation, the commission is essentially the board of directors, and they hire the CEO, who is the city manager. The CEO runs the day-to-day operations of the city. The board of directors sets policy, budgets, things of that nature. Another good comparison is the city commission is almost like Congress, and we pass the laws, we pass the budgets, and the city manager is like the president who handles the day-to-day operations of the country or the city.
Okay, that's a pretty good explanation for it.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck's talking about Chowder Days.
Oh, there's never been hoopla with Chowder Days. I mean, we get along amazingly well. We've got a great relationship with Chowder Days. We work together to try and do some joint advertising to promote the entire holiday. That's why I like for Sombrero Festival, our logo is Sombrero Festival during Chowder Days, because we're very, very proud to be affiliated with that holiday. And we coordinate events also. We used to have a kayak race on the Saturday before the festival. Then Chowder Days wanted to move their Baile del Sol to kick off Saturday instead of Sunday. We shifted our kayak race to Sunday. It's worked out beautifully for both of our organizations.
That sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
It is.
Kayak races. So you've been you've been in office just over a year now, right?
Just under 2 years now.
Just under 2 years.
June of this year will be 2 years. So I'm at about, let's say, 20 months.
what's your opinion on? And again, I'm really not just trying to dip hardcore into
That's
city
okay.
business.
Go for it.
We just
Like I said, the
how do
only
you, how,
reason I didn't put commissioner is because I'm not answering as commissioner, which means I can say anything I want. Because if I were
how
here
do
as
you see?
Commissioner de Los Santos, then of course there's certain decorum I've got to follow. I'm not here
Yes,
to follow
yes, of
decorum.
course.
I'm here
This
to catch
is
up with an old buddy about any topics we want.
definitely an unofficial visit. Nothing serious or legit. Nothing. Yeah. Uh, how do you think things have gone in the 2 years that you've been in your position there as commissioner?
There's always room to do better. You know, there's battles that I've lost that I wasn't happy about, but for the most part, I think the city is heading in the right direction. We see a lot of progress, especially in my district. We see so much growth on the north side of Brownsville. I'm very proud of everything we're seeing in District 3. Businesses keep coming, new businesses keep opening, and that's just a testament to the fact that we are a growing city. We are seeing progress. Sales tax revenues continue to outpace what the projections were for Brownsville, so that's a very good sign as well. We're consistently doing that. Our airport is operating in the black. Last year was our first year in the black since the new terminal opened, and all indications are we're going to continue to operate in the black, especially now with the new airline. I know they're building out the restaurant space, which I was shocked we opened an airport without restaurant space, but I'm glad they're working to remedy that now. I mean, of course, there's things I would adjust if I had the power to individually. I don't, so I work within the system as best I can. But for the most part, I like the direction the city is headed. I'm very concerned about the upcoming elections because that could derail a lot of progress. And, you know, a lot of citizens who reach out to me and really indicate their support for what I'm doing and the fact that I'm always prepared, I'm always well-versed, I'm always able to ask the right questions and hold people accountable. My ability to be able to continue to do that will depend in part on what the outcome of the elections are in May.
Yeah, that will be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And just so you know, I have invited every single candidate
Good.
that is running, and I've only heard from a small percentage.
That's disappointing, but not surprising.
Not quite half. Disappointing and not surprising.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is one of your colleagues, I won't say who it is, who still hasn't opened up a message I sent her 2 years ago.
Not surprised.
But yeah, and some other, others that some new. I will hear. Well, in case you didn't know, I've got Susan Rubalcaba tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Norris Galansky Thursday, and then Brian Martinez on Friday.
Good.
And I did reach out to the others, and I haven't heard back yet. I'd like to hear from more people. I don't know what the issue is.
I'll reach out to Rita Matias and make sure she reaches out to you and accepts any invite.
Oh, she did. She did contact me yesterday. We're scheduling something. Yeah,
good.
Looking forward to that.
Yes.
So I asked at Osmo yesterday. Not that new restaurants are the only way Brownsville wants to move forward and improve things, but who would you like to see come here? Whether it's a restaurant or I guess any kind of business. What would you like to see here?
And for me, it's so much less than what I want to see come here. It's more the growth that I want to see within the city. One of the things I love right now, one of the big announcements that was made was Rich CPAC and the expansion that they're doing there at their facility. I think it's like $116 million. And that's fantastic. And it's because the company's been very successful. COVID was a boom time for them. But, out of all the places they do business, they chose Brownsville where they're going to invest so much more to grow their operation. I love seeing things like that. I like seeing existing businesses like downtown Brownsville, Main Street Deli, how the owners of that opened up a second location, which is Morning Glory, their brunch place. And I just saw this week where Morning Glory has now expanded their hours. Before they close at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, now I think they're open till 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So things like that are what I enjoy seeing, is the opportunities for local mom and pop operations to open up, to be successful, and then to really expand. As far as what I want to see come to Brownsville, there's not much that I can think of right now. I'm more about industry coming to Brownsville and creating lots of jobs. Restaurants are going to come. That goes with the territory. That goes with growth. but I like it when we've got big operations coming into industrial parks, creating lots of jobs, families relocating down here. That's what I like to see.
It'd be nice to see some kind of Amazon something come down here in the
That would be
vicinity
nice,
anyway.
but it's highly unlikely because of our location. We're not geographically well located to be a distribution hub, unless it's to distribute in Mexico. But I think there are other places that are more desirable to set up hubs in Mexico, unless you're concerned about safety of plants or factories in Mexico proper. Then
Yeah.
Brownsville is a good location to set up a distribution hub.
And in your opinion, retail wise, do you think? I know Brownsville, the mall here seems to be hanging in there and still up and running.
I think they're reinventing themselves, and as they should. I think they're evolving with the times, and that's why you see, you've got a gym in there now, you've got a restaurant coming in, you've now got a restaurant building out in the parking lot. I think that'll be the first of its kind for that complex, but it's not going to be the last. There's already talk about a second pad being built for another restaurant to come in. So I like seeing the evolution.
I find it interesting that a lot of the people here are really excited about Chipotle coming to Brownsville.
Yeah.
We're talking about Mexican people, all right? Traditional Mexican people, and we got Mexico right across the border, less than a mile away. Yet everybody's, I find that so funny. I thought other ethnicity of restaurant would come, whether it's Asian food, P.F. Chang. I know P.F. Chang's in McAllen, but I don't know, just something different, something that's not Mexican. It's like,
right.
We have taco stands, every other block there's a taco stand.
Great local Mexican food. Yeah, we don't need to be importing any more of it.
Yeah, and I find that funny. It's like, why is everybody so excited about Chipotle?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe anyway. I see that. What is the restaurant that's making a trip, trying for a third time? Maybe third time's a charm. Is that going to be Applebee's? Yeah. Are they building out at that location? Because that seems like a really small Applebee's, a building to be in.
I have no idea. I have not looked at what the permits or plans look like for it. I just know the location. Because that would be a small Applebee's.
Right? Because so Applebee's is taking over where Arby's used to be.
Exactly. That's my understanding.
And if you know what an Arby's restaurant looks like, well, imagine putting an Applebee's in there, which Applebee's is more, I take it the size of a
Chili's.
Denny's, Chili's, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? So I wondered how that was going to work. Right? I mean, I hope it works out for them. I know a lot of people are fans of Applebee's, but for some reason, the locations that they've picked in the past here in the city just have not worked out well.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they're just things that don't work in. Some restaurants just don't work no matter where you put them, or if it's the wrong side of town for whatever reason. It doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody wants to know, are you going to run for commissioner again?
I'm not up for re-election until 2025.
Yeah.
And if I were to make that decision today, I would say yes. But again, depending on how elections go and what these next 2 years hold, that'll determine. If I'm able to be effective, continuing to serve the people of Brownsville, then absolutely. But if I feel like I'm spinning my wheels and wasting my time, then I would consider not running again.
And I'm not going to ask you because it sounds like you have your heart set on somebody for mayor. Are you talking about whoever gets elected for mayor that may sway your decision?
Not just mayor. I mean, I expect that the mayor is going to be somebody I can work with. I'm not worried about the mayor's race. I'm really not. I'm thinking more about the at-large and District 1 and District 2. Because those three go the wrong way, and it's like hell on earth in Brownsville.
Now you say the wrong way, but you would think that you would try to work together and try to make that work, not being so
Absolutely.
pessimistic about it already before even any of this stuff goes down.
No, I'm not pessimistic. I'm realistic. It's not about the unknown. It's about people who have exhibited over and over and over and over The truth doesn't matter to them. Reality doesn't matter to them. Fact checking doesn't matter to them. They're just going to grandstand and they're going to crusade, and it's not about right or wrong. So will I try to work with everybody? Absolutely. But it's not about I need to bend to be able to work with people. It's about people need to get their head out of their rear end and start looking at facts and truth, and not lying to the public and not lying to themselves about what the realities are out there.
Well, maybe it'll take somebody getting into the office, getting into the seat, I should say, so they can see realistically how things are.
That's a possibility.
You know what I mean?
And let's hope that's the case. If any one of them were to get elected, we shall see.
Legend is saying, by the way, now that Mr. Amigo isn't associated with Chowder Days anymore and Sombrero Fest, can we try to get Chris Christopherson next year for Sombrero or as an honorary guest? Anybody ever tried to get Mr. Christopherson? He's from the area.
Multiple times, including this year, and whether or not Mr. Amigo is held during Chowder Days or not has nothing to do with whether or not we would invite Chris Christopherson. I don't know why people think it's dependent on that. It's not. But yes, for Chris Christopherson, Chowder Days has tried for years. This year, my team at Sombrero Festival and the city of Brownsville, we all sent letters to Mr. Christopherson's team. We had different conversations with him. Unfortunately, the scheduling just wouldn't work out. They had other commitments in Hawaii around that same time, and logistically it wouldn't have worked. That's an invitation we'll keep open. But yeah, that's something we've been trying for years. It's not that we ignore a local like Chris Christopherson. That's just the misconception that's out there.
Yeah, he's from here. He was born here, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? Is that what you understand?
Born and raised in Brownsville.
Chuck says, people dig up crap during your election, but after you got elected, they stopped, so they made up crap.
Oh, yeah.
Is that pretty much what you experienced?
They still make up crap, Chuck. They've been making up crap the entire time I've been in office, too.
It just never stops. Well,
no.
What is the current population here in Brownsville? The last I heard officially was just under 200,000, but that was...
That's what I was going to say. Are you talking about the census or are you talking about the population?
Yeah, I'm going to say the actual...
I think we're still under 200,000. But we know there's a lot more people in our city that don't get counted.
Yeah.
I'd say we're closer to 230 to 250.
Oh, really? All the way up to 250?
I think so.
Yeah, I was thinking definitely at least 200.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your... SpaceX has been here now for a few years.
Yes.
SpaceX got here, and I know there were a lot of promises of jobs and what's going to happen, and then Elon Musk donating money to the city to beautify the city and that kind of thing. Looking back at everything, how do you think everything is going with that?
I think it's still a net positive when you consider the wages that they put into the local economy, whether it's folks that lived here already or folks that relocated here to work for SpaceX. Those wages are now part of the local economy and have driven us forward. They are part of the progress. They're part of the increase in sales tax revenues. They're part of the increases in values. So are there negative environmental impacts? Absolutely. Is there inconveniences with road closures to the beach? Absolutely. And I think there needs to be solutions to that. But for taking the good and the bad, I would say it's absolutely a net positive for the area.
Yeah. Have the number of jobs, and this was brought up last night by Erasmo, have the number of jobs that they promised actually been there? I heard that we don't have a lot of the talent that they need. That's why they're bringing in outside people.
I'd have to look at what the numbers were as part of the original agreement. I know there are a lot of jobs that went to locals here in the Valley. But yeah, there were also a lot that came in because there just weren't qualified individuals to apply for them.
Chuck wants the mayor's pay to be a lot lower.
No, I think he wants the opposite. But no, Chuck, there is not anything
lower the pay
to lower the pay for the mayor or council members. Today, mayor and council members get $10 a meeting for a maximum of 2 meetings a month. So even if we call it special meetings and have emergency meetings, we cannot get paid for more than 2 meetings a month, and it's only $10 a meeting. What's on the ballot in May is to provide a salary for the positions because of the work that's involved, and because of what expectations we have of our elected officials. And what's being proposed is 25,000 for a commissioner position and 40,000 for mayor, which I think is still very low, relatively speaking, for a city of our size, but it's a start. And I'm one of the big supporters of this. And my reasoning behind it is that, especially now with term limits, the pool of eligible candidates is going to start to shrink in the coming years. We're already seeing it affect candidates today. And once that happens more and more, this is essentially going to be a game for the rich. And that's it. Because people that work 9 to 5 or work 2 jobs can't afford to give up that much of their time away from their family and away from work for $10 a meeting. And it shouldn't be that being an elected official and being somebody that passes the laws and governs the rest of us is limited to the wealthy in Brownsville and those that can afford it. So there should be means by which somebody who is grassroots, truly of the people, could get elected and make a difference in our community and not have to starve to do it.
Yeah, when I heard $10 a meeting, it's like,
yeah,
it's almost, I mean, it sounds like such a low number. It's embarrassing to even say, yeah, they get paid $10.
Of course
like,
it is.
What?
I mean, when we talk so much about people should be paid a living wage, but we expect quality public servants for $10 a meeting. When you figure meetings can run 4 or 5 hours, you're talking $2.50 an hour, and that's not including the time that it takes to prep, to go in there prepared for a meeting like that, especially with some of the important issues we face. And that's just the commission meeting. That's not the committees. That's not any of the other work that's involved with it. Yeah. So, and that's where this came from, is just like with anything else. If you're creating a new job at a company, at a business, whatever, you think about, what is this job going to entail? What are my expectations? And what's a fair wage for that position? That's what you do.
Bert's asking, our taxes, are property taxes going to go down at all?
Well, with property taxes, it's always a double-sided coin. They'll always lower the tax rate, but then raise your property value. So in the end, you're still going to end up paying more. And the only way to ever see tax relief is if there are other income streams that come in. So I know, like here in Brownsville, wanting to drive economic development more, to see more businesses open, to see more industry open, so that we're less dependent on property taxes being the biggest part of our budget, but rather we see sales tax revenues and other revenues coming in to supplant that. And once we get to that point, then we could actually consider meaningful tax cutting.
Yeah, one of my big things, it's a pet peeve. It's a pet peeve for the city of Brownsville, for a small town. How much does the city really rely on metered parking?
I honestly couldn't say. I've never paid that much attention to metered parking. I know where metered parking is coming into discussion now is that, one, we've always needed the newer meters, because even before I was elected, I refused to carry change. I'm like, in this day and age, I should not have to look for quarters and dimes, and it wouldn't even take nickels or pennies. That's ridiculous. I should be able to pay with any form of currency that's good in the US. So we needed to convert to these meters. Now that we've done that, the opportunity here is increasing the amount we charge for parking. And those revenues, though, being earmarked specifically to downtown for increased security patrols, for increased maintenance and care and upkeep of downtown. So from that respect, it's not that they're dependent on it or that we're dependent on it. It's that this is an opportunity to enhance what we do in that part of town where we have metered parking, so that we can offer more without having to pass that cost along to the rest of the citizens.
Yeah, because my thing is, I've had to go downtown quite a bit the last few weeks, and I can't find parking, or I don't have change. I just happen not to have change. So now
I don't think the old meters are being checked anymore. I don't know, and I've heard a lot of people say they don't even take the coins anymore, so you can't even pay. It's until the newer meters are in. I think that's when you have to worry. And luckily, with the newer meters, you'll be able to pay from your phone, and you'll be able to reload from your phone. So if you're at a meeting or somewhere, you're in the middle of a meal, and your food's taking forever to come out,
running out.
Exactly. You don't have to run back to your car to put money in the meter. And that's long overdue.
Page, that sounds like he's talking about Turner in Houston. He should never have been elected. Yeah, there are people like that.
Yeah.
I have a question. Do you see the $90 million internet project as the next big scandal?
No. And remember, that's what Brownsville's portion of that, I think, is only 19 million. And that 19 million came from ARPA funds. That's the American Rescue Plan. This isn't property taxes, general fund money. This is not something that the local citizens are paying for. And no, I think I see the opportunity with BTX Fiber to be huge, because we already know, and again, I'm an AT&T employee, but we already know corporations are going to focus on where it's most profitable. And that always leaves citizens in the rural areas without connectivity or limited to one or two providers who charge exorbitant amounts. So I think building out fiber so that everybody can connect at a reasonable price is a good thing for the citizens. I also think from the perspective of attracting new business to Brownsville, when you've got something like that to offer, because companies look at not just what are my incentives as a company to relocate there. They think about the quality of life for their employees. And it's not just the employees who come to the factory every day or come to the office every day. It's about the husband or wife or spouse at home. It's about the kids. It's about the school districts, the streets, everything else is part of the experience, because you've got happy employees, you're going to have a more productive business. And so being able to say we've become one of the most connected communities in the country compared to where we were before being one of the least connected, I think is a net positive.
Yeah, how is that project coming along, by the way, the fiber optic?
As far as I know, it's coming along well. I just asked for an update, but all indications were that it was on track. I know downtown and the college area were some of the first expected to come online, but I don't know what the timeline looks like just yet. I'll have to get an update on that, and I'll come back on the show and fill you guys in.
Yeah, and I've said this before. I remember when I first moved down to this area back in 2000. It was only Time Warner Cable. And then AT&T was around. Yes, we'll come and install, and they would come and install. And we can't. You have to get I think it was ISDN. Was it ISDN? It was like DSL. A little bit DSL. It was a little faster than dial-up, but not as fast as cable.
Right. And now, if you live in an area with AT&T fiber, that's the way to go. It's amazing service, but it's just very limited where it's available in town right now.
Do you guys have the chart, how it's mapped out, what areas are going to get it first?
I personally do not, but I can probably get that because I'm not on the fiber side of the house at AT&T. I'm on the retail side, but I'm sure I've got contacts that can provide that for us.
Yeah, I'm just curious about that. I remember hearing from AT&T, we're working on that. It'll be probably a couple of years. It'll be a couple of years.
I can tell you that right now, just today, I sent some emails off because we're looking at what the future growth of this area looks like, what industry has already come to the area, what industry is in the process of coming to the area, and what other industry we want to go after. And we're using that to try and make the case to leadership at AT&T to invest more in fiber build out in these areas.
Are you aware Congress is introducing legislation to give the Biden the authority to conduct military operations into Mexico?
I was not aware of that.
I didn't hear about that one. Don't know if that's true or not.
That's what our elected leaders are there for, our elected representatives.
Do you think that's a good move to have our military or our intelligence go in and start to finally step in?
I don't think it's at the point that it's warranted just yet, but again, it's all going to be about what does it mean relative to our people in our country. If things get so bad over there that they do become a threat, especially right here on the border, then it may be warranted. And maybe not going into the interior, but just to being able to secure the border region if it came to that point.
Yeah, because I got into that discussion online with someone earlier today, and I said, I don't think anything's going to happen. I don't think Biden or the administration currently, regardless of which administration would be in there right now, I don't think this is enough of an issue. It's not a catastrophe.
Right.
In other words, it's not a September 11th type of thing where, yes, it's not, they're going to send the military down there and we're going to take over the country.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that happening. You know, I
Well,
don't think it's.
and I'm not sure, but I thought other than declaring war, which I know that has to go through Congress, I thought the president as commander in chief already has the latitude to order military operations.
Yeah.
So I don't know that legislation would be specifically needed. And it would be interesting to see who it is introducing the legislation.
And the other thing would be, is anyone going to officially name the cartels as a terrorist organization? You know, because then that puts a whole different spin on it as well, as far as U.S. participation, you know?
It absolutely does.
Chuck says the reporter getting paid to cover the city government is getting paid more per diem than Roy is getting paid as an elected official. That's probably true.
Yeah.
How's that for Brownsville Matamoros charter? Yeah, how does that crime affect, you know, the festivals over here?
Didn't affect us. We just had one of the most successful years we've ever had for Sombrero Festival, so I can't say that it's been detrimental to us.
And I was wondering, would the government ever, you know, it would, at what point would the government say, you know what, we're closing the border, we're not letting Americans cross over to the other side unless you live there or you have official business there?
Right.
Would you ever see that happening? Not that that's an answer to it. Again, I don't think we're at a crime-wise.
I don't think we'd ever see it where it's like nationwide, where the entire southern border gets shut down. But I can see as things flare up in certain areas of Mexico, I could totally see that happening in certain sections.
Isn't the mayor's buddy laying the cable? Yeah.
I'm not familiar with any relationship between the mayor and the BTX fiber crew.
Do you know which internet service provider will be contracted?
Well, it's BTX Fiber is what they're billing themselves as, but Lit Communities is the company that got the contract.
Now, are they up and running anywhere yet, or they're still just installing?
As far as our BTX Fiber, I don't believe we're up and running anywhere yet. I think right now it's built out.
Waste of government money. Already gives $30 stipend for internet for everyone. Yeah, you know, and I thought.
But what good is a $30 stipend if you live in an area where the internet service is crap? This is about making sure everybody has access to good internet service.
Or non-existent, for that matter. Not just crap, but non-existent.
Exactly. What good is the $30 voucher if it's non-existent?
Yeah, you know, I've had, I guess, a decent experience with Spectrum. I know in other cities they have other issues, but I'd be okay if it was just Spectrum. I'm looking forward to fiber. I know fiber is supposed to be a lot faster and a lot cheaper.
Oh, yes.
So we'll see how that's. Roy, have you met Governor Abbott or Ken Paxton?
I have met Abbott. I don't recall if I met him when he was already governor or when he was running for governor as AG, but I remember he came to Sombrero Festival many, many years ago. And that was when I met him. I don't think I've ever met Paxton.
I'm assuming you know who this is, right?
I think so.
Well, I'm not going to out who it is, but I'm pretty sure you know them.
I remember she gave a hint earlier, so.
Yeah, so what? Okay, now here, this probably is the last bit of business we'll do. What is your take on the airport? How are you happy with what's going on at the airport, with how things turned out? And the other part of that question is airlines at the airport. So that's been asked.
I'm happier now that we've added a third airline and that it's a discount airline, because I want this to be a market that's not just considered a business market, because I know traditionally that's why the rates to fly out of Brownsville are higher than to fly out of Harlingen, because of the type of market we're considered. So hopefully with a discount airline, that will start to shift some. And with that competition, hopefully we'll see more folks flying Brownsville, and hopefully that'll drive the prices down, or at least make them more competitive with nearby cities.
Have you seen the destinations and what some of the rates are with
Avelo?
the company Avelo? Yeah, Avelo.
It's just LA and
Orlando right now.
Orlando, yes, right
Yeah.
now. And I think it's just a couple of times a week that it runs to those cities. But I see the introductory rates were, I think, as low as $69 one way.
Yeah, and even cheaper than that. And if you don't select your seats, I mean, you got a pretty good rate, $120 maybe round trip, something like that.
Yeah.
But once you start selecting your seats, that's where they start nickel and dime you and carry-on bags, and like most others do.
Oh yeah.
And I still don't know why we can't get somebody to fly direct to Mexico without having to go to Houston or Dallas, and find a carrier a Mexican airline that can fly straight out of here right to Mexico.
I just don't know if it's cost effective for them yet. I mean, you like right now you can drive right across and you can fly out of Matamoros anywhere in the country, and it's probably cheaper than if there was a direct flight from here in the US to Mexico.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine if it's something that would definitely be profitable, somebody would be doing it already.
Yeah, and we had Aeromexico here before, and I don't know what happened, but they were flying a little 50-seater.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a couple times a week, if not once a week, a couple times a week, and making that quick little 20-minute flight.
Yep.
And
that was probably while they were still being subsidized that they stayed.
Yeah, and I think that's what happened. Once they were not subsidized, that's when it
wasn't profitable anymore. That's why they didn't stay.
Yeah.
Because trust me, if somebody can make a buck, they're going to do it. The corporations will be all over that. But if it's not profitable, that's why we don't see it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they can find somebody. The building itself, the grounds, you okay with all of it?
I have to go back and revisit. I can tell you one of the last times I had been there, and they did address it right away. But there was an area with like crushed gravel or crushed granite. And I know that that's something that landscaping people like to do. And I absolutely hate it, because unless you're going to be on it constantly, it gets overgrown really fast. And I know there was a spot there at the airport that was really overgrown like that. I know it's been corrected. I know we're lacking on parking right now. That parking lot in the facility needs to be expanded. I know that is in the works already.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think I'm fairly happy with what I see at the airport. I got to make sure we keep the flags in the right order. I know we had some problems with that in the past.
Well, I know that's one issue, is that the flags are not actually outside of airport property.
They're not outside?
There are no flags outside the airport property.
Oh, that's interesting. I know they've got them in the lobby.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And for some reason, they were not. I think the project is not technically completed yet.
Mm-hmm.
So they're still trying to figure out where they're going to locate the flags outside the property.
Okay, that's a possibility.
That's one of the things I've always noticed. There's some of the firehouses here in Brownsville don't have their American flag outside their building, and I'm like, what? I don't get it. Yeah, right here, the one on Southmost, behind HEB.
I'll have to go take a look at that.
Up the street.
And there is a
not always
up.
Huh?
There is a flagpole, but it's just not flying?
Oh, yeah, it's not always up. Most of the time, there's no American flag flying up there.
Okay.
And I thought that was an actual law or ordinance at a firehouse that American flag had to be up. Put up in the morning, brought down in the evening, or lit.
I can't imagine that it would be a law, but you never know.
Yeah, next time I go by, I'll take a picture. Those kind of things kind of irk me a little bit, but
yeah. Well, and that's one thing I'm very happy that I get. A lot of veterans in the community reach out to me regularly when they see a flag that's in a state of disrepair. And of course, down here with the winds, how they can get sometimes, it's very easy for a flag to start showing wear and tear not long after it's been put up. But I like it when veterans reach out, or even just regular citizens reach out and let me know about flags that are in a state of disrepair on a city property. And I know our Parks Department has been very, very good about getting those replaced as quickly as possible.
Yeah. So, all right. So I was going to ask you, I know for a while there you were hosting a little bit with Erasmo Castro on his program.
No, I wouldn't go as far as to say co-hosting or anything.
Guest host, you were guest hosting here and there.
A couple of times because he was not there.
Yeah.
But I know whenever I did that show, it was always with stipulations as far as who I was willing to co-host with and who I was willing to have on the show, because I do have standards.
So, are you guys on the outs, or you guys okay right now?
Like we're supposed to have lunch sometime this week.
Okay, good. I was wondering about that when I mentioned that last night.
No, not on the outs. Of course, on air, he's as bombastic as he can be, I think, and we are absolutely opposite ends, and I think he makes no sense when he's on the air. But no, off the air, I would say he's someone that I enjoy getting together with every now and then.
And I'm sure the feeling is mutual on his. He would say the same thing. But yeah, it's been a COVID really attracted people to participate more online, in these kind of discussions, and
that can be a good thing when they're healthy discussions like this, but when it's just a bunch of sensationalism and rhetoric, that can be dangerous.
Yeah. Was it Brownsville that Biden? No, Biden did not come here at all. Kamala didn't come here at all either. I think Kamala went up to wasn't she up in the Eagle Pass area or somewhere up there? Or El Paso, maybe.
I haven't really kept up with her.
Yeah, they're not going to come down here at all. No, it was not Brownsville for sure. Are the flags being stolen or damaged?
Only damaged by the elements, not damaged by individuals or anything. And I haven't heard any reports of U.S. flags being stolen.
Yeah, no, I definitely haven't heard that either. Well, it's still a law that I can't bring my horse into a bar unless I'm bringing goods in.
That's interesting.
That's funny. That's actually funny.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, you got standards, Roy? Yeah, okay. Yeah,
yes.
So, yeah, that's right. I think that social media really, COVID. We took a hit on COVID, retail wise, and people socializing and kids socializing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a few things that did come out of it. Is people are washing their hands more. They're more conscious about how they cough or how they sneeze or how what they're washing up more, and it made social media, these kind of platforms, these kind of programs just explode.
Mm-hmm.
When before there was there was always people out there, but when COVID hit and people were stuck at home, the number of new we'll call them podcasts just exploded. And so in a way that was something, I think it's something positive that came out of it. It got people to still keep talking even though they didn't want people together.
Right.
And because of that, you and I and others have spent a lot of time in front of the camera and just shooting the breeze for a long time, and hopefully entertaining people, right?
Oh, definitely. And I think we saw, new industry come out of it. I don't think food delivery would be what it is today were it not for COVID. I know restaurant owners that I've spoken to, one in particular, it's a restaurant and bar, and pre-pandemic, it was typical kitchens open until about 10 o'clock. And after that, the bar's open till 2 a.m. But ever since the pandemic, they've focused more on the restaurant, and the bar does not stay open late. And they say they make more money now than they did pre-pandemic when they focused on the bar end.
Yeah, look at that. Hey, there was a question about Sombrero Fest. Was that ever moved locations at all?
Twice. In 2004, it was held at Linear Park. And that's back when Linear Park was still the old rail yard. Because all it was a grassy field and a lot of those gray rocks that used to be along the tracks. That was a nightmare for people. I only remember that because I was with volunteering with the Elks Lodge that year. The Elks Lodge used to have the fajita booth. And then the year after that was the year Dean Porter Park reopened for the renovation. And it was beautiful there, but it rained all that weekend. So they had two really bad years back to back. After that, they went back to Washington. And I think the move initially was the result of renovations that were supposed to be happening at Washington Park, I think relative to the fountain. And that's why it moved. But those 2 years were so bad back to back that it put the organization in a very bad spot. And the timing was just right for me, though, because 2005 at Dean Porter Park, I was there just as a volunteer, but I started to see a lot of the opportunities that were being missed by the organization. And so I made a pitch to get involved. And in 2006, which is when they returned to Washington Park, they made me an officer. And I was a VP of Special Operations, focusing on security, communications, transportation, and also corporate sponsorships. And I did that for 2 years, and then I became president. And I've been involved with them ever since. But after those 2 years away, and them being as financially devastating as they were, and now having run it like a business for so long, and having really blown up the revenues that can be made and the monies that we can give back to nonprofit organizations in the community, plus we've invested so much money in the last 10 to 15 years in Washington Park for infrastructure to be able to support the festival, that it's tough to imagine it going anywhere else. Even when we look at other parks, they don't have the infrastructure to be able to support our needs just from an electric perspective.
So for the foreseeable future, it's going to stay right there where it is.
I would say so. I think we're looking at opportunities on how we expand the areas we occupy downtown to help with congestion as we continue to grow. But it's not realistic to consider moving to other venues right now. I know we've talked about the sports park, and the city has said they would have to bring in generators to be able to meet our needs from a power perspective. And I'm not going to run an event like that on generators. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to do that. But just the economic impact it has outside of the festival proper, you've got those local businesses, local homeowners who are charging to park in their parking lots or charging to park on their property, or they're selling stuff out of their front yard. The downtown businesses have talked about the influx of people after Sombreros closes at midnight. Everybody goes downtown, and the downtown area was booming. And, if we move this out to some remote area, all of that economic impact goes away. So I don't see any good argument for relocating to somewhere out in the middle of just a big empty field because there's more space. There's too many cons to that.
Yeah, I guess that does make sense when you put it that way. I can't see something like that being run on generators either.
Exactly.
That'd be some
generators are fine for backup, not as your primary source of power.
Yep. All righty. Well, I'm gonna have to wrap it up for tonight. I do have an early morning tomorrow. But let's do this again, definitely.
Absolutely. Especially after you go through all the candidates. Then bring me back on and we can talk about them.
There you go. Good one. We'll do that. If you talk to Linda, I'm waiting to hear from her as far as when. She said yes. We're just trying to schedule something.
I'm going to text her right now.
Put that bug in her ear, yeah. And then and I'll figure it out with her from there. Roy, thank you for spending a little bit of time with us. I know you had a busy afternoon and evening with the city.
Always a pleasure.
You're always welcome here. You know that, and I do appreciate your time.
Always a pleasure, Manny. Always good catching up with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Roy de los Santos, Commissioner of Brownsville, but unofficially here just as a regular guy right now.
That's right, which means you can always ask me anything when I'm on the show.
Yeah, and we'll get into other stuff. We'll do a little earlier next time.
In probably early to mid-April, I'll be doing another town hall, but this will be not as commissioner, not a town hall as city commissioner. This will be back to when I do my podcast, which I call Between the Lines. It'll be a town hall edition of Between the Lines, so that we can talk about just about anything, but we'll specifically be talking about elections also.
You got it. Sounds good.
Yeah, I may even have I'll probably have a couple of moderators on, and who knows, I may extend you an invite if you're up for it.
I'm up for it.
Very good.
Excellent. Listen, Roy, you have a great night. Thanks for spending some of your time with us. Everyone have a great night, and we'll do this again sometime. Don't forget, tomorrow I've got Susan Rubalcaba. She's running for City Commissioner at Large, Place A.
Yes.
And so we'll see what she's got to say tomorrow, and that will be interesting as well. Alrighty. Roy, good night. Everyone have a good night.